According to Mark Stein, the New York Knicks are requesting to interview Jason Kidd, who's currently the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. And obviously, if they want to make a hire, they'd have to facilitate some sort of trade. And then there are multiple Milwaukee beat reporter, local reporter guys saying that the Knicks are going to prepare an offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And obviously, Kidd coached Giannis, so maybe there's a connection there. The Kidd speculation seems more substantiated, whereas the Giannis stuff seems a little bit more on the rumor stuff right now. Going from Tibbs to Kidd feels a little bit like the guy holding up the same shirt that he's wearing that he got from Christmas meme, right? He had Dallas in the finals a year ago. He's had some success in the league, and I haven't watched a ton of games coached by Jason Kidd, like, fans of the teams that would know, like Milwaukee and Dallas. But it does seem like fans do give similar criticisms of Kidd that they do to Tibbs, overworking the stars in the regular season. Luka in a couple years under Kidd averaged more minutes per game than Brunson ever has under Tibbs. But okay, if that's the direction they want to go. I still, if you make that move to fire Tibbs, I would hope that they went for like a Mike Malone, who's been a champion recently, or a Johnny Bryant, who's like a young up and comer, maybe have some more upside, some more offensive creativity. So Kidd, I don't think it's like some disaster hiring. It's just a little bit uninspiring if you're going to move on from Tibbs, at least in my opinion, especially considering you'd have to give up you have to give up capital. You have to give up something to get him. And then if you're going to give up something to get Kidd, what are you going to have left to trade for Giannis? I mean, after the Mikal Bridges trade, like those are the assets that you hoard to go make a move for Giannis. So obviously Karl Anthony Towns would have to be a part of the trade. And really, if you're the Bucks, like, I want OG. The guy that you say, no, we have to keep him. That's who you have to give up to get Giannis, who's a top 3 player in the sport. So it's similar to the Carmelo Anthony conundrum, although Giannis is a much better and more complete player than Melo ever was, if we're being honest. Where, okay, you don't have the star power, but then you get the star power, and then you kind of lose like a lot of your depth in your role players. But to be honest, it's tough, man, because I don't think this team was that far away. They lost in 6 games to the Pacers. Now the Pacers did that same BS to the Thunder in game 1. The Pacers, they could absolutely win this series, and we could be looking back and saying we lost in 6 games to the NBA champions, and one of those was like a historic 14-point lead blown in 2 minutes. So I don't necessarily think you have to blow the team up, but at the same time, Leon Rose, the firing of Tibbs says the goal is to win a championship, and we're going to take a risk. We're going to take a risk that the floor could bottom out by moving on from Tibbs, but we want to shoot for that ceiling of getting a trophy. And I think a similar logic could be said with the Giannis trade, especially if you could keep OG. I would move everybody else for Giannis. They can have Bridges, they can have Cat, because it's then you have Brunson and Giannis. If you could keep OG, and then you have Mitchell Robinson, that's an amazing front court defensively. If you have Giannis and Mitchell Robinson on the floor together, you are going to be such a good defensive team. And those liabilities, and whether it was the coaching asking him to do it, or Towns was hurt. And look, Towns is a big reason they made it that far. I'm not trying to rip on Towns, but if you're looking at this team trying to win a championship, it's tough to imagine it. As close as they were, it's tough to imagine like the combination defensively of Brunson and Towns. I don't know if you could overcome that and win it all. Maybe you could. Again, they got pretty close, so maybe you could. But Giannis, man, defensively, him and then the rebounding, he's gonna replace Towns' rebounding. Defensively, it's gonna be night and day. That's gonna be as good of a defensive big man tandem as you could find in the league. Need Robinson to up that conditioning, because he looked pretty gassed after, even playing sometimes 20, 25 minutes. He looked pretty gassed, so you got to up the conditioning there. And then obviously your offense is running through Brunson and Giannis, who have both shown in the playoffs they can each average 30 apiece. Right now, then you'd have to be very tactful with your depth signings, and you don't have a ton of margin for error for injuries. It's risky, right? And Giannis is 31. So I understand you don't want to blow up your team for a player that's that age. And again, maybe they can't get him. I don't think they're going to be the team that can outbid everybody, but it seems like they're going to at least try to make an offer. If you push the button for Tibbs because you want to win it all, I could see the logic for pushing the button for Giannis. And the age isn't a huge deterrent to me because I'm looking at this team and the window is Brunson. The window is Brunson to me, and Brunson's 28. He's 28 and he's 5'11". So, and the way he plays, how physical it is, and the contact he takes, the fouls he gets, like Brunson is probably not going to be an All NBA player until he's like 34, if we're being honest. So I'm looking at it as more of like a 3 to 4-ish window thing. So that kind of would line up before Giannis probably starts hitting that cliff, obviously, as a player who plays at his style. And the length that he has could probably extend his prime until his, mid-30s, like a Kevin Durant. So there it is, man. Maybe they're going to go for a kid, which I don't love, but I get. And the Giannis thing, like, I think they have a better chance to win a championship if Giannis is on the team. I think he's a top 3 player in the sport. And I think Brunson, we know Giannis can be the best player on a championship team. And I think that Brunson is as good of a number 2 as Giannis would have ever had. And on a lot of nights, he'd still be their number 1 offensively. And we'll talk all soon.